Well, Liam Delap is going to be leaving Ipswich this summer. He's got this clause in his contract which said that if Ipswich are relegated, £1 million, and obviously that's alerted a whole host of clubs. One of the clubs who are interested in him are Manchester United, but people have been putting two and two together and maybe coming to the wrong conclusion and thinking he wouldn't want to go to Manchester United because look where they are in the league table. They're not the force they used to be. Yep. Our information is that he's happy to move to Old Trafford, and he won't even necessarily be swayed by whether they're in the Champions League or not. Obviously, they've got this very important game against Spurs, Europa League final next week. If they win that, then they get into the Champions League. Is Liam Delap waiting for the result of that game before deciding if he wants to move to Old Trafford? I don't think he is. Perhaps it'll play a part in his decision because he's got other clubs interested in him like Chelsea and Newcastle United. But I don't think we should make too much of the fact that players don't want to go to United because they're not in a great state at the moment. We've seen it with Matheus Cunha as well at Wolves. He's got this £65 million release clause. Manchester United are prepared to pay that. The player is prepared to go to Old Trafford, and I think Liam Delap would be happy to go to Old Trafford as well. And maybe it could turn out to be a great deal for United because he's proved himself in the Premier League this season with Ipswich, and he's got this very sort of gettable value for money release clause. £30 million is not a lot of money in today's transfer market.
No, it isn't, is it?
Especially for a forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Cunha could be an interesting signing for Manchester United. Any of those tempt you?
Caicedo, to be fair, I think he's been very good for Chelsea. Rodgers has been good. I mentioned him before. He did come into my mindset of that the side where I put Mbeumo, because I think Rodgers had a fantastic season, but I think Mbeumo's numbers are just so big at a club like Brentford.
Probably Cunha. I had him in the first half of the season. Obviously, he had a ban. He missed a few games second half of the season, but you just look where Nottingham Forest are in the league compared to Wolves. Gibbs White was fantastic every time I watched them. Yeah, so he was that sort of floating player, an inside left pocket.
So let's finish on a thought on Cunha. If he is indeed on his way to Manchester United, what else do they need in that front three? If the Delap has been linked as well, there's even been talk of...
I don't think Delap should go to Man United.
You don't think he should, or do you think Man United should take Delap?
I just think... What happened to Højlund, sometimes I think when you're going from a team who've been relegated to... I know Man United are 16th, but it's Man United, one of the biggest clubs in the world. The eyes and ears, I just think that's such a big step. I know people might say it's from there to there in terms of league position, but Man United's a monster.
Do you think it's an upgrade on Højlund?
I do, but I don't think it. I just think almost that next step of like Everton or something. You know when you're going to play every week, you're going to be the main man. You're going to feel like one of the best players in the team. He's the best player in the team at Ipswich. Everything goes through him. Go to like another club where you're that for 2 years, then go to that sort of Man United or ever a sort of team, sort of Champions League, or going to be trying to compete for that sort of level.
Yeah, look. If he comes, everyone will get behind him. He's a young player, but we've seen that, United have been a very tough place to play over this last few years for a lot of very experienced players. So we're right to express caution in terms of what's happening at United, in terms of, you need to be resilient, you need to be ready, and I hope that he can go in there and get off to a good start and have a great career there if that's the move that happens. But we are right to think about the things that have happened to other players. Højlund's coming at 70-odd million, Xerxes coming at 30-odd million. What's going to happen to them? Do they just leave? We saw Sancho come in, we've seen Anthony come in, Rashford's going to leave. It's interesting, and there's a good knowledge of Delap at United from the people who've come in at the sort of hierarchical level.
Jason Wilcox.
So Jason Wilcox has worked with him. He's obviously having a big say on this. Omar Barada, obviously at City as well. So they've done they've had a good understanding of his game and a good understanding of his character, which is helpful. But Manchester United is a different animal, and I think that, I hope he does well there.
We're reporting on Sky Sports News that Matheus Cunha is this close to signing for Manchester United. What do you think?
I think it's a great signing. I think he's a brilliant player. I love watching him play. We're going to pick our team of the season tonight, but he was in my team of the halfway point of the season, so he had a great start to the season. I watched him at Man City a few weeks ago. He looked really sharp, quick, and we know how the manager at Manchester United wants to play. He likes sort of 2 number 10s in his team, and I think he'd fit perfectly.
What does that mean for the likes of, say, Alejandro Garnacho?
Well, it's certainly not good news, because I think Ahmad might play one of those other positions alongside Cunha, or maybe Bruno Fernandes at different times. And there is a lot of talk about Garnacho moving on, because I think he's come through the academy system, and we know what that means for the PSR of the club. And we also know Man United have got, a few problems with that issue right now. So I think if a decent offer comes in for Garnacho, I think probably Man United will take that.
Interesting. So we've spoken about Cunha coming in. Are you surprised that, given their current plight, they're still able to attract top-class players?
No. I think Manchester United are a fantastic football club, one of the biggest in the world, and there will always be that allure of, playing at Old Trafford and the theatre of dreams, and the history that the club have got. That Man United will all have that. I play for a club at times, Liverpool, who weren't always near the top of the table, and you're still attracting good players. Maybe not as good as you could get if you were at the top of the table. That's obvious, but it's Man United.
Of course, they're in the Europa League final this week. You said on the...
I just think they're used to winning big games. I don't think there's too much to pick between the teams. We can see that from the league table. I just think of what Manchester United have done in the last few years. They've still won trophies at the end of seasons, and they're a club who are used to winning trophies. Tottenham aren't. And I think when you take that into a final, I think Man United will believe they're going to win. I'm not quite sure Tottenham will believe they can win, but it has been a season of cup upsets. We've seen that with Newcastle beating Liverpool. We've seen it with Crystal Palace beating Manchester City. So hopefully we see the same next week.
Yeah, indeed. Thanks for that. All right. So which of the two managers needs it more, this win in the Europa League final?
In terms of maybe being at the club next season, I would probably say Ange Postecoglou, but I think the man on our left here, I think needs it desperately as well, because of where it's going to put the club next season. Financially, what can he do in terms of bringing players in? There's a lot of talk, even if Ange wins the trophy, it may not mean he's the manager next season. But I think in terms of Amorim and where he's got this project of where Manchester United are going, they need the funds from the Champions League. I don't think it's about silverware. I think it's about silverware really, as much as anything with Tottenham. I think for Man United, it's more about where this is where it's going to take the Amorim project, because if they obviously get the Champions League funds, it means it's a completely different sort of idea, and maybe players coming in the summer.
Speaking of...
Manchester United executives have held face-to-face talks with Liam Delap and are advancing on a move for Matheus Cunha. Delap was given permission by Ipswich Town to travel to Manchester to get a first-hand sense of what a transfer to Old Trafford would entail. United have competition from several clubs, including Chelsea, and Delap is expected to enter meaningful discussions with all suitors before taking time to decide his move. Delap's £30 million, £40 million release clause, activated by Ipswich relegation, has made him an appealing target after he scored 12 goals in his debut Premier League campaign. United are also progressing negotiations on Cunha, and there is hope a deal can be struck for when the transfer window opens on June 1st. Talks have so far centred on Cunha's personal terms, with both parties working towards an agreement. United are yet to approach Wolves directly about payment terms on Cunha's £62.5 million release clause, but there is an expectation this stage would be a relative formality. Wolves are open to accepting instalments. The agreement built into Cunha's contract outlines that the fee is to be paid in 3 instalments, the first chunk on signing, then 2 equal shares over the next 2 years, but it remains to be seen if United try to negotiate more favourable terms. United have the finances to sign Delap and Cunha irrespective of how Wednesday's Europa League final against Tottenham Hotspur goes, where the winners will secure Champions League football for next season. Other options in the forward positions have been considered, including Brentford's Brian Bumo, Sporting CP's Victor Gyökeres, and Napoli's Victor Osimhen. Having scored 34% of Ipswich League goals, the 4th highest share of any player, Delap has often been tasked with generating his own chances with limited service from his teammates. In a counter-attacking Ipswich side, Delap's powerful, driving runs forward have been a theme of his season, as he has shouldered much of the attacking responsibility with a return of 10 non-penalty goals at a rate of 1 in 3 for his efforts. Whether it is thumping finishes from range or delicate flicks at the near post, Delap is in a rush to get on the score sheet. A desire to get forward is the bare minimum for a striker, but Delap is something of a throwback, an out-and-out striker who is desperate to stretch the opposition back line. This is highlighted in Delap's skill corner profile below. denoting his off-ball run types as a share of his total runs made. Runs ahead of the ball or in behind opposition defenses take up a healthy amount of Delap's running real estate, with a large share of cross-receiver runs towards goal to receive a possible cross, showing a player who thrives at the sharp end of his side's attack. Cunha's familiarity with that position behind the striker in a 3-4-2-1 formation enhances his appeal for United, who want adaptable players but also need new signings to hit the ground running. Cunha's record against United inevitably colours perceptions too. He terrorised Erik Ten Hag's side when running from midfield on the opening day of the 2023-24 season and, of course, scored direct from a corner past Endre.
Football fans around the world were sent into a frenzy today after a stunning leaked image surfaced online, and it's one that could shake the summer transfer window to its core. The photo shows none other than Sporting CP's prolific striker Victor Gyökeres standing inside the Manchester United dressing room, proudly wearing the 2024-25 Red Devils home kit. Even more intriguing, he is flanked by none other than club captain Bruno Fernandes, who appears to be offering a warm and symbolic welcome to Old Trafford. The image, which rapidly went viral across social media platforms, has ignited a wildfire of speculation. Could the Swedish goal machine's transfer to United already be a done deal behind closed doors? If true, this would mark the first seismic signing of the Zinedine Zidane era, an era fans have awaited with breathless anticipation. The leaked image appears to be snapped candidly within the iconic Manchester United home dressing room at Old Trafford. Gyökeres, tall and physically imposing, is seen in full kit, not training gear, not casual wear, but the brand new 2024-25 official home jersey. The bold red fabric, white accents, and updated sponsor branding leave no doubt this is not an old image or a recycled photo. Standing next to him is Bruno Fernandes, long rumored to have played a key role in recruitment and dressing room cohesion since taking over as captain. Fernandes has a broad smile on his face and one arm around Gyökeres' shoulder, a gesture many interpret as a symbol of endorsement and welcome. In the background of the photo, Alejandro Garnacho and Amad Diallo can be seen grinning, adding more fuel to the idea that this is a celebratory moment, perhaps taken just moments after a deal was finalized. Gyökeres has been nothing short of phenomenal for Sporting CP since arriving in Portugal. The Swedish striker's mix of pace, power, and clinical finishing made him one of the most coveted forwards in Europe. In the 2023-24 season alone, he notched over 30 goals across all competitions, helping Sporting to a dominant domestic campaign and a deep run in Europe. United's glaring need for a reliable goalscorer has been a topic of concern for several seasons. While Rasmus Højlund showed promise, the club has lacked a consistent, elite striker since the departure of players like Cristiano Ronaldo and Robin van Persie. At just 26 years old, Gyökeres is entering his prime and could be the perfect spearhead for Zidane's new project. Manchester United was already at a fever pitch following the appointment of Zinedine Zidane as head coach, a bold, era-defining move that signaled United's intent to restore themselves